Coming up on this Thursday edition of Daybreak, speaking at this year's World Energy Congress, President Park Geun-hye pledges to address the energy crisis and boost job creation by incorporating her creative economy policies into energy storage management systems. In the US, Senate leaders strike a deal to temporarily expand the nation's borrowing capacity and to end the government shutdown. The plan is expected to pass Congress before President Obama can sign it by Thursday's debt limit deadline. Plus, all 49 passengers and crew, including 3 Koreans, are dead after a Lao Airlines plane crashes into the Mekong River. Daybreak begins now.
You're watching Daybreak on Thursday, October 17th, and I'm Choi Yusan here in Seoul. Let's start this morning in Korea's southeastern city of Daegu, where President Park Geun-hye delivered a speech at this year's World Energy Congress. The president laid out Korea's energy policies and pledged to incorporate her creative economy policy into securing clean and safe energy. Our presidential correspondent Oh Jin-ju reports.
President Park has pledged to develop Korea's energy industry into a driving force in her push for a creative economy. Speaking at a special session of the World Energy Congress in Daegu on Wednesday, President Park introduced a plan to use information and communications technology in energy storage and management systems to reduce energy consumption and then sell the saved energy to a power exchange market. By doing so, President Park said Korea could reduce the peak demand for electricity to at least 1 million kilowatts by the year 2017, create 15,000 new jobs, and a market worth $3.3 billion. The president proposed 3 ways to overcome the current energy challenges facing the world, which she called the energy trilemma.
깨끗하고 안전하며 모두에게 이용 가능한 에너지를 확보하기 위해서는 지금까지의 대응 방식에서 벗어나 과감하고 발전적인 전환이 필요합니다.
She first called for a new system in which energy producing and consuming countries could cooperate to create a stable energy market and carry out joint projects for resources development. President Park emphasized the importance of investing more in developing new energy technologies, from smart grids to eco-friendly cars, to minimize the negative impact on the environment and to boost job creation. She also said countries should revise their current energy policies and regulations, especially their pricing systems, at a time when the focus is being shifted to clean and safe energy. The World Energy Congress, dubbed the Energy Olympics, is held once every 3 years. This year's event is the biggest ever, with some 6,000 energy-related officials and experts from 110 countries participating. Oh Jin-ju, Arirang News.
President Park will embark on an 8-day European trip early next month that will take her to France, Britain, and Belgium. Officials say her first stop will be Paris from November 2nd to the 4th, where she'll hold bilateral talks with French President François Hollande. She will then travel to Britain for a 4-day state visit on the invitation of Queen Elizabeth II. In addition to meeting the Queen, President Park will hold a bilateral summit with British Prime Minister David Cameron and discuss ways to boost cooperation in the creative economy sector. The president will end her tour in Belgium, where she will meet with the Belgian Prime Minister and heads of the European Council and the European Commission for talks on bolstering trade between the two sides. Korea's finance ministry was under the spotlight on Wednesday on day 3 of the parliamentary audit. Lawmakers grilled ministry officials about the government's budget for next year, its tax plans, and real estate policies. Our political correspondent Kim Hyun-ji reports.
On Wednesday, lawmakers raised concerns about the nation's public sector debt, which is expected to surpass $900 billion for the first time ever this year. In particular, lawmakers said the unethical and at times corrupt management of state-owned public enterprises must be addressed, along with inefficiencies, because the practices contribute to the increase of government debt. Opposition lawmakers accused the government of not taking the fulfillment of President Park Geun-hye's major campaign pledges seriously enough, based on an analysis of the government budget for next year. President Park has said she will raise necessary funding for her welfare projects by cracking down on the nation's underground economy. She's also said that new taxes will not be introduced and existing ones will not be raised. However, even ruling party lawmakers pointed out Wednesday that the government needs to offer a more detailed plan for how it intends to go about taxing the underground economy. Opposition lawmakers said that President Park's idea for welfare without taxation is fundamentally problematic, and that it will ultimately do more harm than good to the nation's fiscal health. Another issue raised at the audit was the finance ministry's forecast for economic growth next year, which stands at 3.9%. The figure is higher than projections made by the OECD and other research institutes in Korea. Lawmakers said the government's forecast is unrealistically high and that it presents problems for next year's budget. Finance Minister Hyun Ho-seok in response said he feels the figure is accurate. Opposition lawmakers also said the government's real estate policy is only designed to boost home ownership and real estate sales, and does not address the lack of affordable housing options for ordinary people. Kim Hyun-ji, Arirang News.
Korea's job market is picking up steam, registering the biggest job growth in a year in September. The nation's young people still have the toughest time finding work, but people in their 20s may be able to find some solace in the figures. Our Shin Se-min has the details.
Job creation accelerated last month when the employment rate for people in their 20s grew for the first time in 17 months. Statistics Korea said Wednesday that more than 25 million were employed in September, up more than 460,000 from the previous year. The September jobs numbers also reflect the largest gain in 12 months, when more than 680,000 new positions were added to the economy. The employment rate for people between the ages of 15 and 64 edged up 0.5 percentage points to 65% in September, a healthy figure by the international standards, but still below the current administration's target of 70%. The agency said that a rise in regular or salaried workers and a decline in the number of self-employed people had helped boost job creation by more than 400,000 jobs per month for 2 straight months. By sector, the health and social welfare services added the most jobs at over 172,000 in September from a year earlier, followed by the accommodations and restaurant businesses. In probably the most significant development, new jobs created for people in their 20s total 36,000, representing the first growth since April last year. Despite the added jobs, however, labor market conditions remain sluggish for the youth group. The jobless rate for people aged 15 to 29 stood at 7.7% in September, compared with the nation's overall jobless rate of 2.7%. The job data is in line with the government's projection that the nation's economy is on track for a steady recovery. The Korean economy grew 1.1% in the second quarter of this year from the previous quarter, rising above 1% for the first time in more than 2 years. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
The Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, who attended the World Energy Congress, says the organization is ready to return to nuclear inspections in North Korea. Speaking to Yonhap News on Wednesday, Yukiya Amano said the IAEA would play an important role as soon as a political agreement is reached among the members of six-nation nuclear talks, mainly the two Koreas, the U.S., China, Russia, and Japan. He said the international watchdog will not get involved in the political process, but stressed the agency's role is to realize a nuclear-free Korean peninsula. South Korea's top North Korea policymaker says Seoul may adopt the German model to resolve one of the most urgent humanitarian issues between the two Koreas. But our Unification Ministry correspondent Hwang Sang-hee explains how buying the freedom of South Koreans stuck in the north might raise some ethical questions.
Addressing lawmakers on Tuesday, South Korean Unification Minister Ru Gil-jae said the government was reviewing Germany's Freikauf program for reuniting thousands of families separated since the Korean War in the 1950s. Freikauf, which literally means buying freedom in German, refers to West Germany's repatriation method of offering money or goods to bring back political prisoners from the East. Between 1963 and 1989, West Germany brought more than 33,000 political prisoners over the border by paying around $51,000 per person. The process was highly confidential, with the church instead of the West German government leading the negotiations. While it sounds like an appealing idea, experts doubt the model could successfully be applied to the two Koreas. For one, the South Korean government may not be able to afford the German method should the North demand an outrageously large amount of money per person. Plus, even if money wasn't an issue, it would be hard to win public support as many South Koreans are against supporting the North economically due to their ongoing nuclear tests and belligerent behavior. A planned family reunion between the two Koreas last month was called off by the North, crushing the hopes of many aging family members. With most of the victims over the age of 80, experts say it's important to approach the issue in a humanitarian way. Hwang Sang-hee, Arirang News.
South Korea's Defense Minister Kim Kwan-jin has made it clear that Seoul is not interested in joining a Washington-led missile defense program. The minister says the U.S. missile program is too costly and its interception range is unnecessary on the Korean peninsula. Kim said the South Korean military will upgrade its PAC-2 Patriot missiles to PAC-3s and develop mid- and long-range surface-to-air missiles as part of efforts to better counter missile threats from North Korea. His remarks come amid speculation South Korea would join the U.S. missile shield in return for a possible delay of the 2015 transfer of wartime operational control from Washington to Seoul.
If you want the latest news from Korea and around the world.
Return to the negotiations.
President Park Geun-hye plans, given the current circumstances.
On your way to work or at home.
Defense Ministry. The legislature will convene a...
Tune into Daybreak on Arirang TV.
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Tuesday that they left it till the last possible moment, but Republican and Democrat Senate leaders have struck an 11th-hour fiscal deal that should stave off a potentially disastrous debt default. The new bill, which will extend Washington's $16.7 trillion borrowing capacity until February 7th and fund the government until January 15th, is to be voted on by the Republican-led House. The House and Senate will also set up a committee to negotiate a long-term budget plan by December 13th. Although the fiscal deal may not win support from some Republicans demanding changes to President Obama's health care law, the plan will likely pass with enough Democratic votes in the lower house, then to be signed into law by the president before the end of Thursday. The two-day international talks on curbing Iran's nuclear ambitions were substantive and forward-looking, according to chief delegates from the EU and Iran. Wrapping up discussions in Geneva Wednesday, EU Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton said the permanent UN Security Council member nations, plus Germany and Iran, had the most detailed talks ever. Nuclear and sanctions experts from both sides will convene before the next round of official dialogue in early November. Earlier, the Iranian deputy foreign minister said lowering the levels of Tehran's uranium enrichment and allowing surprise visits to its nuclear facilities could be part of a deal. The latest round of negotiations come after a relative moderate Hassan Rouhani was elected president earlier this year. 3 Koreans were among the 49 passengers and crew members who were killed Wednesday after the plane they were traveling in crashed into the Mekong River in Laos. Officials say the Lao Airlines plane crashed while attempting to land in bad weather at Baek-se Airport in the south of the country. Lao authorities say no one on board the plane survived. Korean embassy officials have identified the 3 Koreans as Lee Jae-sang, Lee Gang-pil, and Lee Hong-jik, all in their 40s or 50s. At least 17 people are confirmed dead and nearly 100 injured after a powerful typhoon swept through eastern Japan. Reports say the strongest typhoon Japan has seen in a decade caused the greatest number of fatalities on the island of Izu-Oshima, south of Tokyo. At one point, some 12 centimeters of rain pounded the island in a span of just 1 hour. Landslides and flooding from the downpour killed 16 on the island, while more than 40 are still unaccounted for. The typhoon also passed close to the crippled Fukushima nuclear plant, but authorities say they seem to have weathered the storm with radiation readings kept under the safety limit. The cream of the world's best ballet companies are in Seoul for K-Ballet World, a festival that showcases a mix of both classical and modern pieces. Our Connie Lee reports.
From dance numbers that move to some electronic beats, to the more elegant, traditional ballet pieces, this is just a snippet of this year's ballet festival at the Seoul Art Center. The K-Ballet World, in its 5th run this year, started Wednesday with an opening performance that ended with prima ballerina Kim Ji-young gracing the stage.
This is a great opportunity to see performances by other dancers and see the works of different choreographers. So this really feels like a fun festival.
The week-long festival, hosted by the Korea Ballet Association, features the highlights of different performances from each dance company involved. This includes Korea's top ballet companies, which are Universal Ballet and Korean National Ballet.
In one show, you can see performances by distinguished dance companies in Korea, as well as the works from choreographers from abroad. This festival is an opportunity for a unique experience.
Dancers from Japan are also here, and German's Choi Dance Company is ready to showcase some of its dynamic moves that is not often seen in traditional ballet.
Choi dance, you could expect that use humor. Humor is very special. Not many people use humor with dance, and also it's very athletic. So we're talking about tricks and lifting the women in ways that are not normally lifted in ballet. Upside down and crooked and very athletic. I think the Koreans will dig it. Yeah.
The festival also features performances by Han Sung-woo, or the first Korean male dancer of the American Ballet Theater. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
And a good Thursday morning to you all as we kick things off with Game 1 of the second round of the 2013 KBO postseason between the Doosan Bears and the LG Twins. Now a sold-out crowd at Jamsil Stadium. So let's take a look at the highlights from Wednesday night. Of course, going into the game here, Game 1 starters No Kyung-eun for the Doosan Bears, who was 10-10 this season, versus Lee Jae-guk for the LG Twins, who finished off the season 12-2. But the first inning, here is Kim Hyun-soo through the right side. An RBI single gives the Doosan Bears the 1-0 lead. Next play, here is Choi Jun-suk grounds one to third. Chung Sung-hoon goes home on the play, but the ball is thrown high, and Chung Soo-bin scores the second run. By the bottom of the inning, Park Geun-hye to lead off, singles to the right side, and we have a base runner at first. Next batter, Lee Byung-gyu sends one to opposite field, and there it goes, a game-tying two-run shot, and the game's tied 2-2. Stays that way until the 7th inning of the game. Lee Jung-wook at third. Choi Jun-suk with a chopper to third. Misplayed by Chung Seung-hoon once again, and everyone's safe, and it's now 3-2. 9th inning insurance run for the Tucson Bears as Chung Soo-bin singles in another, and the Tucson Bears take game 1, 4-2, your final score. And staying in the sport, Yoon Sung-min arrived in Los Angeles and hopes to increase his chances at joining the majors next season. And seems like so far he's getting a good feedback. Many of the baseball writers in the U.S. are saying positive things about the Kia Tigers ace, who boasts a 90-mile-per-hour fastball with an above-average slider and changeup. While the righty stated that he wants to be a starter, some believe that he could be a middle relief. Meanwhile, rumors say that the Chicago Cubs and the Minnesota Twins are keen on signing the South Korean this offseason. And moving on to some Wednesday night's KBL action, we had 2 games take place last night, so let's begin with the KT Sonic Boom taking on Anyang KGC. Of course, going into the game here, first quarter, KT dominating the paint, outscored KGC 19-9 before going into the second half with a 40-26 lead. KGC trying to bounce back in the second half with a huge game from Cho Sang-min, scoring 27 points, including 4 3-pointers in the game, with Kim Woo-ram adding 16 points as well. As KT cruises through in this game, 70-58, your final score. And next up, Wonju Donggu Promi taking on Changwon LG Sakers. First quarter, Donggu all over LG, outscores them 23-13. Second quarter, momentum shifts over to LG, scoring 21 points as they cut the deficit to 47-34 after the first half. By the second half, Donggu never looks back as former ET-Land big man Herbert Hill with a monster game here, 26 points on 10 boards, with 3 other Donggu players scoring double digits. LG's Moon Tae-jung puts up 16 points, but Donggu's offense too much as they take this game 77-67. And finishing things off on the golf course, a big weekend for all you golf fans here in the nation as the 56 Cologne Korea Open kicks off today. Now, the tournament, which kicks off today until Sunday at the Ujang Hills Country Club in Cheonan, will host some of the big names in Korean golf, such as Kim Bi-yo, Kim Dae-sup, and Kim Min-hui. However, the biggest name highlighting the event will be Rory McIlroy. Now, McIlroy isn't having the best season this year, but hopes to dominate the course early on as he's set to face off against Kim Tae-hoon and Lee Chang-woo to kick off the first round play.
First year that I didn't live up to my own expectations.
And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Happy Thursday morning to you. I'm Lee Ji-hyun with your latest weather forecast. Well, we are off to a chilly start again with lows of 6 in the Seoul and surrounding areas. And even in the afternoon, a breeze will continue to keep temperatures suppressed in the upper teens for most regions. And as we can see, there aren't many clouds hanging over the nations, but a sunny Thursday morning might turn into mostly to partly sunny day as more clouds might be rolling into the nations as we go through the day. Now, weather outlook for tomorrow is looking similar to today's. Morning low will stay on the cool side for central areas. Temperature will soar to 20 in most regions in the afternoon with lots of autumn sun. So it will be pleasant but dry afternoon. Now it looks like temperature will gradually return to seasonal norm by a Saturday with a mix of sun and clouds with afternoon highs hovering at 20. So by the weekend, it will get warmer. I know I said this yesterday, but I have to repeat it again today. Today should be the coldest day in this year's autumn so far. So please do bundle up for your morning commute and let's take a look at the readings for today. So I'll start it off at 6. That's 2 degrees lower than yesterday. And afternoon highs in Seoul will get up to 18 degrees Celsius, which is 64 degrees in Fahrenheit. And Daegu and Gwangju should make it to 19, while Busan will be topping out at 20 with mix of sun and clouds. Now let's see how other regions are looking. Jeju should be topping out at 19 and Daejeon and Dokdo will be hovering at about 18 and 14 respectively, and Mount Keungang will be staying in the cooler side at 8. Now that's all for Korea, and here's the global forecast for viewers around the world. It's cold outside, so don't forget to bundle up tight before you're heading out, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
And that does it for this Thursday edition of Daybreak. Thank you for watching.